succeeds because of a dumbed-down electorate. And the leftists are seldom asked to specify what do they mean when they demand that somebody pay their fair share in taxes. Thomas Sowell, as always, give it up for Dr. Thomas Sowell. I'm telling you, you people should be reading more of him. Thomas Sowell took a step in the right direction in an essay posted on National Review last October 21st. He opened by noting that people who demand the rich pay their fair share never specify what either the rich or fair share mean. Essentially, Sowell stated, fair share means simply more. Sowell made 2 points, both of them important. First, when government raises income taxes on the wealthy, such as Maryland did in 2012, tax revenues actually fell because many wealthy people left the state. New York, too. On the other hand, when the U.S. governments in the 1920s, Coolidge in the 60s, Reagan in the 80s, Bush in 2001 have lowered income taxes, the results has been increased revenue to the government. Sowell concluded, nevertheless, that cries to soak the rich have worked again and again, and may also succeed this year, too. That's probably because terms like the rich and fair share are used not to convey any facts or even allegations of facts, but simply to arouse emotion. And if you want someone to get all emotional on you, it'll usually be a liberal. Cries to soak the rich are one of many signs of the mindlessness of our times, said Sowell. And his essay was a useful correction to leftists blathering about class warfare, but he didn't provide much in the way of specifics. So if one wants to stymie calls for the rich to pay their fair share in taxes, specific facts are needed. I'm aware that getting specific on this subject will not prevent cries for class warfare, but it might make it harder to take them at face value. One place to turn for factual information on who pays how much percent of the total in income taxes is a report posted on the American Spectator's blog of May 6th. The data comes from 2014 and is reported by the Tax Policy Center, which is the creation of the Urban Institute and the Brookings Institute, two entities not known for right-wing sentiments. And according to the IRS in 2014, the top 1%, the evil 1%, Bernie's evil 1% of all income earners paid 45.7% of all federal income taxes, but earned 17.1% of all income in the U.S. So the top 1% pay almost half of all federal taxes. The top 20% paid 83.9% of all federal taxes after earning 51% of all income in America. The middle 20% of income earners, who the American Spectator claims are the true middle class in America, paid 5.9% of all federal income taxes, but earned 14.8% of all income. So this data from those and other websites need to be viewed in the light of the fact that due to facets of the tax code, such as the earned income tax credit, the child tax credit provisions, lower income earners pay very little or nothing to the IRS. According to the Tax Policy Center, the bottom 40% of income earners in 2014 paid nothing in federal income taxes due to the earned income credit or the child tax credit. Low-income earners may pay state income taxes, property taxes, sales taxes, other levies such as FICA, but that's essentially irrelevant to this argument. The burden of paying federal income taxes has shifted towards those in the upper income tax brackets in recent decades. A report posted on IBD on a blog of April 18th drew on the Tax Center policies data to show that the percentage of federal income paid by the top 20% rose by 19.2% between 1979 and 2014. So helpful as these figures are, they don't get at two key questions. Again, first, how much money per year should one make to be classified as rich? They never tell you. What is it, 100,000, 200,000? According to the Washington Post, there was a relationship between how much an individual makes and what he thinks it takes in income to be rich. People with incomes less than 50 or right at 50 grand or less said, well, you had to be making 200 or more to be rich. People making between 50 and 100 grand said they would need at least 260,000 a year to be rich. And for people making more than 100 grand, one would have to make at least $1 million a year to be rich. So, who's right? Part of the problem is that most Americans are incredibly ignorant about income taxes. Most people complain about paying too much in taxes than they actually pay in federal income taxes. And part of it also is that partisanship resonates with divergent opinions about taxes. Republicans and even independents are more tax adverse than Democrats. And Americans' opinions about taxes are, well, they're inconsistent. Nearly two-thirds believe corporations aren't paying a fair share in income taxes, and roughly three-fifths opine about the some wealthy people, slightly over half, tell pollsters that they pay the right amount. And roughly a third claims to like or even love doing their taxes. Best way to view this is to realize that attempts to specify what fair share means will always be ambiguous. But at least when you have information about who's paying what, I mean, you know, when you go up, some leftist comes up to you and says, hey, fair share, 1% of the people are paying almost half of all income taxes. So what's fair share? Yeah. The next time some leftist laments about paying a lower income tax rate than his secretary, well, the best response is nothing in the tax code keeps you from paying more to the IRS. You ever see that? How much is Hillary paying in taxes? How much is Bernie? How much is Hillary donating in charity? How much is Bernie? How much is Trump? Where'd that money for the veterans go? Just asking. Just asking. What's the fair share? How much is enough? To the left, folks, you should know by now, nothing is ever enough. No matter how much you give, the leftists, they're always the victim. They always have a grievance. Nothing is ever going to be good enough for them, because if it does get good enough for them, they won't have anything to bitch about. So that's what fair share means to the left. It means all of it.
An audio engineer knows which gear there is.
You need to run your source through the DNS 1500 first.
This always did feel like one of those shows